I want to call this meeting to order this morning. And if y'all would, join me in a word of prayer, and after that we'll have the pledge to the flag. Heavenly Father, we do come before you today to thank you for this day that you've given us. Lord, we thank you most of all for your mercy and your grace, and that we're able to have salvation through your Son, Jesus Christ. Lord, we ask you to be with us during this meeting, to guide and direct our thoughts and our minds, that the things we do would be pleasing in your sight and would be beneficial to our community. Lord, we also just ask a special prayer this morning as school prepares to start back here in Simpson County tomorrow, that you be with those kids, the teachers, faculty, staff, our resource officers, Lord, that we just have a safe and successful school year here in Simpson County and across the state. And Lord, we just ask you now to go with us and be with us during this time. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we get into business, we have with us today Miss Amy Ellis, the Director of our Simpson County Tourism, and I think she's handed out an economic impact of tourism report to you guys, and she asked could she come and share this with us. I said absolutely.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, last week the governor called a press conference, and several of the tourism directors from across the state went up to for this announcement, and it's the economic impact numbers for 2022. And this actual 2022 broke records. It was the highest grossing spending from tourists in Kentucky ever. So it's kind of a big deal. It was real nice. He invited us to come up. We actually went to a small business in Lexington for the announcement, Crank and Boom Ice Cream, if you guys have ever had that. It was pretty, I thought it was really thoughtful.
What was the name again?
Crank and Boom. It's
Boom?
Boom.
So
Crank
like
and Boom
Daniel.
Ice cream. It's really good ice cream. But it's kind of a Lexington thing, kind of like Chinese is here, that kind of thing. So what I wanted to do was bring you guys the numbers, and you have them there, so you can kind of see where Simpson County ranks in the state statistics here. We had, and this is in the tourism industry, which is our service, and these are our hotels, these are our people that work in the restaurants. That's where these numbers are coming from. So 454 jobs in the tourism sector of Simpson County last year, with a labor income of $14 million. State and local taxes were generated from tourists at $6 million, and tourists spent $73 million in Simpson County alone last year. So we all that live here see new faces every day coming through Simpson County and spending money here, and that's a good thing. So as far as the state numbers, that's $12.9 billion that was spent in Kentucky, and $73 million of that was here in Simpson County. The state employs 91,000 people in the service hospitality industry. And I broke it down. You guys don't have those numbers, but I wanted to tell you how we rank in our region. We're part of the Caves, Lakes, and Corvettes region, which is Warren, Barron, Simpson, Hart, Logan, Allen, Edmondson, Butler, Monroe, and Metcalfe. That is our region. And in that region, of course, Warren County ranks first in all of these categories. Barron County is second, and when you think about the size of the counties and their location on 65, that makes you think where the tourists are going. But Simpson County is third. So I'm pretty excited that we are. Of course, our location has a lot to do with that when you look at Logan and Allen and some of the others that aren't right on the interstate. But Simpson County is third. So I don't know that we'll ever be second, but we might be. That might be what we strive to do. I think as tourism will continue to increase, and with the addition of the new hotel at the Spring Hill Suites, that's going to boost our numbers up. Next year, Hart County is the county that is right behind us. We have 454 jobs in 2022. They're at 278. So we know at least another 30 jobs, because the new hotel's brought in 30 positions there. So what I wanted to tell you guys, some of the events that bring our tourists into town are like our Friday night concerts, which last Friday night, if you were up here, there were about 2,000 people in the square. It was a lot of people. That's a really great program. I was at Ruby Branch Farms on Saturday. They had their big sunflower maze event. And when I left at 2, they had estimated about 700 people, and she was open until 7. And that was with a rain break of about an hour and a half. So I never did talk to Lainey yet to see how many, but it was a lot of people. But most of the people I talked to were from Tennessee. So, and we had a booth out there and greeted people, and they came over. What else can we do when we leave here? And that's what, that's great. And I asked them, how did you hear about it? Because I wanted to know, where are they getting their news for the events? Live races are coming up out at Kentucky Downs. That's the first race is August 31st. We'll have a booth set up out there. We greet a lot of people. Last year we met people from all over the United States. Those races bring in a ton of people. Of course, we got the car show on September the 16th. If that's not on your schedule, we always have a lot of visitors to town that day. And pretty much. And Summer Vibes, August 26th, Summer Vibes Music Festival downtown. We've got a very well-known band, Smash Mouth 90s band, that'll be here. That's a free event, and that's a big thing about the nonprofits in town that host these events and make them free. It's kind of hard to say no when you're looking for something to do and it's free and you can come into town and spend some money, buy some gas, shop at one of our shops, eat at one of our restaurants, and that's what tourism is about. Hopefully spend the night in one of the hotels, but our hotels stay full. So being between Nashville and Bowling Green, our hotels are booked, and that's good. And that's good news for the new hotel coming. So I had a film crew in here last week, and he at the last minute decided that he came down from Lexington, decided he was going to spend the night, had a hard time finding a room in Franklin. So that was good news. So that's what I wanted to share you guys, those numbers, and let you know that I think the most valuable asset Simpson County has is our people. They're friendly, they're nice. You stop to get gas somewhere, they're nice to you. You run through to get a soft drink somewhere when you're visiting, and I think that is what brings people back. Other than all the other things, I think the people are the main thing that had people come back through. If they're passing through and they're going to pass back through going back south or north, the other direction, they're going to stop again. So I just wanted to share those numbers with you guys. And y'all got any questions about any of it?
I have one quick question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, I'll make it up if I don't know the answer.
Because I know, no, don't make it up.
Just kidding.
Because I know you've only been the director for a few years now. Mm-hmm. So I know you're not back, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But I know you said the 22 numbers were the biggest that the state has had. Mm-hmm. Is it safe to say that these numbers just for Simpson County are the biggest that we've ever had for 1 year?
Yes. But I'll tell you, I kind of excited to see what the numbers look like next year, because since this has been released, this does not include any of the ARPA money that was distributed. And we have several different media campaigns that the ARPA money has gone to, which breaking it down, it has created different trails across the state, just like everybody's familiar with the Bourbon Trail. But because of the ARPA money, the state went to the tourism offices and said, we want you guys to come up with new creative ways to create trails across the state and market them. Here's the money to market them. So the money was very specific what it had to go to, but we kind of competed for who could come up with the best trail. So Simpson County is a part of a couple of different trails that we were invited to be involved in. One is Kentucky After Dark. I will come back and talk to you guys about this. Kentucky After Dark, which is a whole new concept of trails across Kentucky. I've never seen tourism take this approach to find visitors, but it was created by the people in Hopkinsville. It was her idea with the little green men, alien invasion kind of thing. So we are on that spectrum with the Waverly Sanatorium in Louisville. We are going to use Octagon Hall because of its well-known reach in the paranormal world with those people that that are interested in that kind of thing. So that Kentucky After Dark, you'll start to see some information about that. We are involved in one that's horsepower, horses, and haulers. So there are 6 DMOs that are going to be involved in that. We are partnered with Bowling Green and 2 counties in the eastern part of the state, 2 counties in the northern part of the state. That will be an exclusive trail where if you check in at those 6 places, it's bandwago and you get it's kind of like the trail. You want to do that. You want to check in at all those spots and you get something at the end. We're in a barbecue trail. We're of course in a separate bourbon trail. So we got invited to be in a couple of those, and I think that's really going to be neat. You guys will hear more about that in the future. Everything's still in the building stages, but I think that will make our 2023 numbers higher and definitely push our 2024 numbers up for spending.
Very good. Okay. I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
And I want to personally, publicly thank you for taking on the car show, 60th anniversary car show that looked like it might go by the wayside after 59 years would have been a shame. So thank you for stepping up.
Well, thank you, Mason. We're gonna give it a shot. We'll try. I think it'll be a great day.
It'll be good.
Be a good day.
If it doesn't rain, it'll be a good day.
And thanks to Hunt Auto for sponsoring that.
Yeah.
It was very nice of them to come forward and do that for us.
As you well know, if it rains that day, it doesn't matter how well you plan an outdoor event. If it rains,
It rains.
Nothing you can do about it.
It's okay. It's
Except
not
hold
gonna
an
rain.
umbrella.
It won't rain.
Do you want to give any update on the new office?
Oh, and the new office downtown. Okay, so we I think maybe have possibly sold the cabin, the tourism cabin that's out there at Cracker Barrel. It's on contract. And the new office down here, which was the old Merle Norman building, we've done some work on it. We've gone in, done some renovating, really just kind of pulled it back to the bare bones to see what we're working with. We've got plans. We should have those out for bid pretty soon. Hopefully it'll be in there maybe January or February. Realistically thinking at least 6 months, maybe 7. So, and I'll come back to you guys at a later date with better plans. The board hasn't made a final decision on those plans.
That's great.
Okay.
As Mason said, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
a lot.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Amy. Gentlemen, the minutes of our August 1st regular court meeting, I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes if there's no changes or additions.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty, second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next, you've got on your portal some information about an opioid symposium, so to speak. We've been requested to be one of the sponsors, and we've received, you'll see it in your July financial statement, I think it's $90-some thousand, $92,000, $93,000 in this opioid abatement money. Well, it's kind of like the ARPA in that they're working out the details on what you can actually use the money for. I mean, obviously, it's going to be something related to opioid abatement, but it's still unclear on exactly what all you can use the money for. So this coalition is to try to get collaboration between the 10 counties in the BRAD to figure all of this out and what are the real needs in our area. So they want to put together this symposium, but there is some cost to it, and they've asked us for $1,000 sponsorship, which we can use the opioid abatement money for this gathering. It's well under the threshold of what the judge executive has the ability to do according to the administrative code, but I would like for the court to say you're good with it.
So moved.
All right, so we got and what the motion is for it's $1,000 sponsorship from each of the counties in the BRAD to help put this all together.
Second.
Got a motion by Meyer and a second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? And I think I know, Sheriff, I emailed you and Jackie, and I think I emailed you guys a link to where you can register to go to this if you want to go. I think it's September 28th. If anyone else wants a link to the gathering, just let me know and I'll forward the link to you. Sorry. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Bob's not even in. Oh, he's over here. He's usually back here. If you want to make your way up here, Bob and I met with John Phelps with EUDS Consulting a few weeks ago, and they offer a consulting program for emergencies, disasters, like true disasters, not a windstorm that knocked over a few trees and downed a few power lines, but like the tornadoes that leveled Mayfield, or the floods that wreaked havoc on eastern Kentucky. Or, as I was talking with Marty earlier, like he mentioned, even the flooding here in 2010 when we had to declare some houses, I guess FEMA bought some houses.
Yeah, we bought them out.
Yeah. So what these folks offer, and Bob will explain it probably better than I will be able to, but what these folks offer is the ability to come in and help with your damage assessment. Because let's say we have a devastating event, something like a tornado that levels one area of the county. Bob is one-man office with just a few volunteers, and you've got a certain amount of time, you've got to make all the damage assessment and turn it into FEMA. What these folks offer is the ability to come in and help with that damage assessment. There's no annual fee, there's no monthly cost, there's no upfront cost. The only way they get paid is if there's an actual disaster and they actually help us with the damage assessment, and they're paid through the FEMA funds that come because of that damage assessment. So there's really basically no cost to the county whatsoever. But if we don't have a signed agreement with them as a consulting firm to aid and help, they can't just come in and do it. Like if say the disaster happened, God forbid, tomorrow, and we called them, I mean, they would come and do it, but we're going to have to pay them because we have no agreement with them that would allow FEMA to cover their cost.
It doesn't cost us anything to have this contract, and what they will, between the small events that we see and the big events like Bowling Green and Mayfield had, there's a gap, and they would come in and help fill that gap. There's pre-disaster stuff that they could do that we would have to pay if we asked them to help us. They can do grant writing and stuff like that at this time is probably not necessary. But the big thing for me on this is the gap. The people that are the professionals that are involved in this are former FEMA employees. They've worked for FEMA, they've worked for contractors that have worked for FEMA. They know FEMA better than we do. So they have resources that they can reach out to that I can't. I could through the state, but it would be laborious, I guess, a fairly amount of labor and not very fast. And they could probably make a couple of phone calls and have a couple of teams in here to do damage assessments like in the next day or two. So just having a signed contract with this company and to be able to help us stand in that gap. Again, the only way they would get paid is if we had a presidentially declared disaster. Their money, their pay would come out of the administrative part of that disaster. I would encourage you to consider this. I know some of the other counties around are doing it. It's just good to have somebody else on board to advise. They're not going to come in and take over the response or anything like that. They would still fall under the court and under my jurisdiction, but they would be here to assist us. And a big deal like they've had in Bowling Green or Mayfield or even the floods in eastern Kentucky, the local government, the emergency management agencies really need somebody there to whisper in their ear and say, don't forget you're going to have to take care of this or that. So,
well, I just think the damage assessment thing is like, how does a one-person operation with a handful of volunteers do the damage assessment if we did have something of that magnitude?
I don't really, the damage assessment part of it is a good thing to be looking at. I don't stress it much because if I've got a good enough relationship with my neighboring emergency managers in this region, if I have a problem the 10 EMs in this region all had a problem. They'd be here the next day. The morning of the tornadoes, by 7 o'clock, I was in Bowling Green doing damage assessments already. So but we did damage assessments for 6 or 7 days straight, and we still didn't get everything that they had done. So I would welcome their ability to come in and help us organize that stuff, make sure it's organized. I don't even want to think about.
Yeah, I hope and pray we never face it.
I would probably stress so bad my hair would come back.
This kind of sounds like a no-brainer to me.
I think it is. It's a no-brainer. It's just something good to have.
It's not something that's gonna cost us anything.
No.
And hopefully we won't have, we just hope you never have a emergency or disaster, but I know the people in Warren County they never had any idea they were gonna have the tornado they had came through there either, so all you can do is try to be as prepared as possible. So.
Yeah, I don't see a downside to it because, like I said, unless there's a presidential declaration and they don't get paid anything unless the administrative side of the FEMA covers their cost. I mean, there's no cost to us.
What these people provide, if anybody's been around or paid much attention, after a presidentially declared disaster, the contractors come crawling out of the woodwork like family members after somebody wins the lottery. So they're everywhere. And these people right here know who is good and who is not. They could probably help us with contracting for debris removal and stuff like that. That's the big stuff that we would probably utilize them for.
Nobody else has any questions?
Any other questions?
Nah, it's no brainer.
All right, well, I think Marty's made a motion to enter into the contract with EUDS Consulting and authorize the judge to sign the contract. Yep, so Marty's made that motion. Second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
What about the grant for the shelters at the park we had talked about?
Yeah, the shelter at the park, the report on that is we've made it past the second step. Right now, we're waiting on KYEM to get us a contract so we can spend the first part of it to do the design and the engineering for that. As soon as they get us a signed contract, we can reach out and start looking for somebody to do the design and the engineering and stuff like that.
Now, were you going to do just that one, or we're doing just that one?
Well, I was at the city yesterday talking. We've been notified. It's probably been a couple of years ago after, and I don't remember which DR it was, but a couple of years ago, the city, I went with the city and we applied to put one out on Highway 1008 near West Madison. And we've had to do some, I think at our last meeting, I think we talked about doing something to let Diana sign. No, that wasn't here, that was at the city.
Yeah.
We've had to sign a document to let the girl at the Brad that's doing our grants and stuff for us. KYEM wouldn't communicate with her, even though she's the one that's creating the documents and sending them to her for our grants. Anyway, we had to sign a thing with them, and now they'll send information back to her. But anyway, we don't have anything official yet, but we're getting another grant awarded to the city to build another $600,000 safe room over on the west part of the county, or the west part of the city. So
Sounds good.
it's not official because we haven't.
It is now, you just announced it on TV.
It's as official as it can get without being on paper. So, but those, I like I told him yesterday over at the city, these hazard mitigation grants like this, they are slow. It takes 2 or 3 years to get through these things and actually start the project. So
Okay.
we're getting close to being able to do something here.
Sounds good.
And while I'm here, I'll just mention this real quick. Meyer and I talked about it just a little bit ago. Again, I don't talk about the location very much because of security for the system. But anybody that pays much attention to the skyline will notice that there was a tower went up last week for our communication system, where it's going to be at. So the skyline changed a little bit over there last week.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to give you an update that we are. That's a big milestone. I mean, that's a huge milestone to get that out of the way. And now there's actually a contractor out there right now working on the foundation for the building and the generator pad, and he's tying all the ground stuff together. That's all bonded together ground-wise out there, so he'll be out there for the next week working on that. And then the next thing that'll happen out there is probably going to be in October when they built the building. And once they get the building up, things will start happening fast. The microwave dishes will go up and all that, and a lot of equipment will go in out there. But we're still looking at probably April or May before we'll be able to turn it on. And I was talking to Nelson yesterday. I don't think state police were quite where we're going to need them. Our system will be up and running before they're ready to tie it to theirs.
Oh, okay.
So it's the big part of it that we're going after to have the broad coverage area is probably be delayed a little bit longer than that. I don't have a good feeling about that right now, but our part of it will be up and running probably in April or May.
Good deal. Thank you, Bob.
The safe room shelter, is that synonymous?
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, the next, if you looked at the employee resolution 2023-08-15 EMP-FSFR, is, y'all remember, we made a new designation in temporary employees that would be for a defined time period for a specific reason. And y'all are all aware that obviously we had a firefighter that was injured in the accident out on I-65 that's going to be in and out quite a bit with some various medical treatments, which we did hire someone on a part-time basis to have to fill in, but the chief wanted to have more options to have somebody to plug in that hole in case the part-time individual couldn't fill a specific time or date. So he's got 3 people that are willing to come as temporary just through the end of this year, and then we can sit and evaluate kind of where our firefighter is by the end of the year and see what's going on with them.
So these would be like on-call people.
They're basically, yes, they would basically be like someone that at a whim he could call in to have on a shift if the part-time person can't fill it or whatever.
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Marty to approve this employee resolution.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Gentlemen, one thing that's not on your agenda, but I don't know, I don't even know if it's on the portal, but we have 2 appointments to the Industrial Authority Board that we really need to make. And so both of these individuals were recommended and both have agreed to serve another 4-year term. Gary Brody and Dr. Steve Compton. We need a motion and a second to appoint them each to another 4-year term on the Industrial Authority Board that would run through 7/31/2027.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron, second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? Oh, all in favor?
Just discussion.
Yeah, any question, discussion?
No.
No? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, financial business. You see there's a cash transfer. The treasurer's requested at $32,510 to the jail fund from the general fund. So we need a motion and a second to approve that transfer.
Is that for salaries or?
Yeah, and not only that, but like we're like 3 weeks before we have another, which is one of the longest stretches between meetings. and probably a couple of payrolls will happen, and,
Okay.
yeah.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, bills and claims. We need a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion, I think it was Jeffrey,
Yeah.
seconded by Marty. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then finally, your July financial statement. We need a motion and a second to approve the July financial statement, subject to audit, and authorize the county treasurer and the county judge to sign that statement.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Marty. Any question or discussion? Actually, I was a little off on the opioid number. I said it was 92 or 3. It's not actually 98,000. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Moving on to reports, y'all remember we authorized to do an employee survey just to get some feedback from the employees. You guys took the questions. I'm assuming everyone was okay with the questions. I didn't hear any feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Because A&M Consulting has this survey ready to roll out Monday the 21st. So the employees will have from Monday the 21st till Thursday, August 31st to do the survey. And so what'll happen is the survey will be by department, but not by individual. So we will absolutely know which department the employee was in, but we will not know which employee filled out which survey. We will have no way of tracking that, no knowledge of that. So what will happen is I will send a link, like jailer, chief, sheriff, clerk, I will send a link to each of you for all the employees in your departments that they will go on and do it, and the information goes right back to the consulting firm. So y'all be looking for those links, and I want to encourage you to get your employees to fill it out.
So we'll be getting a copy of that as well, as far as just.
Once. Well, Ashley, I want to make sure I clearly understand.
The survey that the employees will be taking, we'll get a copy of that survey.
Well, I can send you a copy.
I'd like to see the survey. I mean, I don't care.
I don't know that really the intent is not for elected officials to do it. It's-
No, I just want to see the survey.
Just to see the questions.
Yeah,
and-
You sent out a draft copy. I'd like to see the final copy of that.
Yeah, I think it's identical,
Oh, it
because
is?
there was
Okay.
no changes. But I'll send you guys a
Okay.
link. Just if you get one as an elected official, and this goes for you, Mr. Clerk, Sheriff, Jailer, we really don't want the elected officials filling out the survey. This is for,
I think everything's just great.
what, you think your boss is a jerk?
That's a real struggle. Don't fill out a survey.
Yeah, but yeah,
No, I just want to see it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll send you guys a
Yeah.
copy. But yeah, just please, if you're an elected official, don't submit. Yeah,
If you do, put your name on it.
yeah. Or maybe I should do one. Maybe we should have a link just for elected officials so we can see what y'all think of yourselves. But okay, yeah, I'll get that out. Obviously, I think most of y'all may be aware, if you're not, they actually sent an official letter out, but Toyo Manufacturing is closing October 31st. They said business is just kind of down, and they're closing October 31st. But, you know, as I talked to Denny, you know, this is case in point why you do not quit with industrial recruitment efforts, because kind of the lifespan of a lot of industries, 20 to 30 years anyway. And so as you see some kind of fall off, you want something new coming and going, you know, coming in, so you've got places for people to go. I mean, I hate to lose them, but fortunately we're in a good position where we've got quite a bit of industry, hopefully they can,
And maybe another factory to come in instead of a distribution center.
yeah. Another thing here, and I can pass this around if y'all want to see it, but we had a thank you letter from Sky CTC thanking us for our continued involvement and investment in the on-track scholarship program. Do y'all want to see it? But it's nice that y'all want to see, okay. Counselor, you can see it. Bob, you didn't, and this may involve Bob and Bobby, but you didn't mention this while you was up there because it wasn't really the topic we were on. But am I understanding correctly that we were awarded a grant to do an elevation on Coomer Road? $120,000, I believe. Was you aware of that, Bobby?
What was that now?
You remember when we done it? Come on back, Bob. You remember when we done the hazard mitigation thing and they first denied some, one of the things we turned in was to elevate that section of Coomer Road and it was denied? Well, I'm pretty sure
It was on Coomer.
Coomer Road. Wasn't there a
I got
section
listed
you wanted
like-
elevated?
Is it Long Road?
I got listed 3 or 4 roads from you, and I don't remember which ones they were.
Crossings on Coomer, but the Milliken Chapel was the one that we had the elevation.
Yeah, they didn't award Milliken Chapel, they did one on Coomer.
And I'm not even aware we had any
There's another road water.
situations on.
We may be able to change the scope and get it switched over to Milliken
I
Chapel.
don't know, but we're getting
I'll see if we can.
$120,000 to do something to Coomer Road.
Well, we put in something about the Coldwater Crossing.
New canvas for the paint on, I guess.
Do what?
New
Okay.
canvas for the painters.
I'm gonna say, you
There
can
was
do a lot
that-
more painting with that money.
When that took place, we put in, I think we put in for 2 safe rooms at the park at that time, and there was, I think, 4 roads that we were trying, it was mitigation funding. And again, I don't remember which DR it was, but there was.
We were notified last week that we got that $120,000.
We put in for elevation change on Cal Harris. and
Yeah.
Milliken Chapel. Let's see what it says.
Yeah,
We'll see what it said, but they're giving us
We've-
$120,000.
We might have to rename Cal Harris to Coomer Road.
Take signs over there.
Next time.
Might wanna strike that from the minutes.
It's not part of the minutes, we don't, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, we are getting that money. One other thing real quick is, obviously by ordinance, we have scheduled a regular joint meeting with the city, typically the 3rd Tuesday in September. That Tuesday is also the kickoff date for their Kentucky League of Cities annual conference, so they're wanting to reschedule, and I asked Kenton to send me some dates. I have not received those dates. Unless he sent a response since we've been in this meeting, and I'll look. No. So we'll have to reschedule it. The unfortunate thing is, I guess this particular one may end up having to be a special called meeting, because if we had dates, if he had given us dates that like, okay, we can do this date, we've set that by ordinance, we would have to change the regular dates by ordinance, but not knowing any dates, it's hard to make that change. I mean, if we change it to sometime in October, we probably need to change it to like the 3rd Tuesday in October, because typically the first week of October is fall break at school, so you wouldn't want to do it at that point. But another question I have, is there particular topics that y'all want or think we need to have on for discussion? And a couple I know is, obviously the city's working with this one consulting firm on helping put together a new comp plan. So we need to talk through some planning and zoning issues and work through that, because unless something has changed, and apparently there has been some change, that I don't know really what's happened, but unless something's drastically changed, we can't change planning and zoning regulations without a joint vote of the city and the county both being in agreement. Is that correct, Counselor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so there's a few issues that are kind of maybe on the borderline right now that the city's pushing as planning and zoning regs that I know we've not voted on the county side, so we need to throttle that back and get this back like it needs to be. And obviously, both sides, meaning Franklin City Commission and the Simpson County Fiscal Court, will both have to be in agreement to what we enter into the comprehensive plan as far as administering to planning and zoning regs, correct, Counselor?
That is also correct.
Okay. So that'll be one discussion I know that I feel like we need to have. Another one I feel like we need to figure out exactly what we want to do with the fire department as far as full-time and funding around the clock. I still, my personal feeling is that we still need to figure out a way to fund what the chief tells us will work. I guess how many fire departments I've ran?
As many as I have.
How many have you ran?
0.
That's how many I've run. So, and his number was 5, but really a minimum of 4 per shift. I think that's where we need to be. I don't know what the city's committed to. And we may honestly need to look at the county just taking complete ownership of the fire department and contracting fire protection services with the city. I don't know, but those are two things that I feel like need to be on topics of discussion for sure. Is there anything else that you guys feel like we absolutely need to have on to jointly discuss with the city?
Well, I guess we need to put on there the discussing the ordinances to change the
True.
meeting date.
Yeah, meeting date.
Because if we're going to, I mean,
Because this has happened a couple of years in a row now.
yeah, and the thing of it is, if something comes up between now and then, we can't bring it up at the meeting.
Yeah, because
Right.
once you
Unless it's on
set
that
the
agenda.
agenda for a
Yeah.
special call, that's all you can discuss.
If
What
it-
about trash pickup?
Well, we can,
Okay.
I mean, since we're both
Yeah.
on that
What's that?
contract, right, trash pickup.
Okay.
but no, I mean, that's correct. This is going to be, I know every year, certain week in August, I got to go to prosecutors conference. If we know every year they've got a League of Cities meeting, then we need to change that
Yeah.
regular scheduled meeting.
Yeah, especially since it's established by ordinance. And we need to get that done fairly soon because, you know, we voted on a few changes to our admin code. We've not yet printed the new admin code, but those ordinances go in there. So if we're going to change that ordinance, there's those meeting dates. If we're going to change that by ordinance, we need all that done before we actually print the new admin code.
Well, Counselor, if Mason talks to Kenton and he gives them a date, would it be too late at our next meeting to have an ordinance to move the regular scheduled meeting to October?
Problem is, I don't think you're going to be able to have first and second readings, would you, by the time advertised, would you, Pam?
What dates are we
Like the third week of October?
Yeah, because see, we don't have a regular meeting again until like October 5th. Is that
Okay.
is that the
Right.
Tuesday?
So, and just so you know,
Oh, you're right. September 5th. If
Yeah, we got
yeah,
two
we got all of
meetings in
September. Yeah, we would have time if we wanted to set the date by ordinance for the third Tuesday in October. If we can get a date, we could put that on our September 5th meeting, have first reading the first meeting in September, and then the second reading the first meeting in October, and it would be ordinance, and I think the city would have time to do the same.
Why don't you,
Because, I mean, here's the thing, there's both good and bad to special called meetings. The good is you know exactly what you're talking about, you can't talk about anything else, you just do it and get it done. But the bad side of it is,
you can't talk
if,
about
let's say
that.
something did come up like the day before the meeting.
no, I mean, that's, the good news is you can't talk about anything else. The bad news is you can't talk about anything
Exactly.
else. Yes.
But if you would check with the
Yeah, I asked them
mayor,
yesterday
city
for some
manager,
dates.
whoever over there, and ask them if that would do, if they could get their ordinance passed.
Yeah,
I mean, I think we could do an ordinance at our next meeting.
Well, just confirm with me on a date, and I'll see about trying to put together a proposed ordinance.
okay. Well, I asked yesterday for some proposed dates that would work for the city, and as soon as I get it, we'll try to get something worked out. All right, gentlemen, that's all I have. Myron, you have anything? Or-
Just following up on our trash collection, Scott Waste, as far as the contract, if Sam, if you've had time to look at that,
Yeah, could I take that up in my report?
Outside of that, nothing.
Scott? As far as the parks, they're gonna start the fall ball. We're going through the coaches now for all the leagues, I guess and last week they had a ribbon cutting at a Boys and Girls Club in Allen County, which is under Franklin Simpson's umbrella. So we were over there for that.
Nice. Quick question. How's the dog park coming? And did we ever find the guy that done the donuts on it and messed it up after they worked on it?
Now, I've not heard anything about the donut guy. They put it out if anybody knew who it was, and that's happened 2 or 3 times and since I've been on the board, and that's just been since January. The dog
Was it
park,
happening before you got on the board?
yes.
Okay.
You have the right to remain silent.
And the dog park, I believe it's a September, November kind of date on that.
Okay.
So they've done some work, and I know they got to get some water ran and fencing up, so.
That was just pretty disappointing that they got the ground kind of prepped and ready, and then the guy comes and cuts a bunch of donuts in it and just tears it up.
I'm telling
Needs to be cutting donuts at the Simpson County Detention Center.
Well,
I'm just saying, we gotta catch him first, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, he needs to be cutting donuts down there as a guest for a while.
are they cooking donuts at the detention center?
Well, he can.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Jeffrey,
No report.
Marty,
I seen out on by the boat ramp, the frame is up for the life jackets. Thank you all for doing that.
yeah.
When I say you, I was talking to
Actually,
Taylor
tomorrow
and
at
Bob.
2 o'clock? Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, if any of you want to be down there at the location at the boat ramp, there's going to be a press release deal about the life jacket safety, and the folks with wildlife's going to be down there.
Okay. We had our equipment committee meeting this morning. Dudley, do you want to talk about a pickup like we talked in there? He asked me about and I told him we'd have to look at what was in the budget and all, but to come up and talk to us, because
this is kind of, we just briefly talked about this, but the sheriff got a Chevrolet 1500, and we're needing another truck. I've got 2 that need to be surplus, and Marty suggested that we take them to.
well, we got a dump truck and another truck at a pickup at the Public Works that we're going to have to surplus. And if you just got 1 or 2 items, I think we could just put them in the auction over at Mills in Scottsville. As long as you, Counselor, as long as you advertise the location, it doesn't really matter where you do that, correct?
No, you don't, doesn't have to be in Simpson County.
Okay.
But
I
you got-
tend to agree with Marty on this. One of the vehicles that we got's a 3/4 ton extended cab. It's 2-wheel drive, but it's a good-looking truck. I don't want to talk about it on here because it might bring more money if I don't. So anyway, it needs to go, and probably Mills is over in Allen County, isn't it? I would say it's probably going to bring some good money if we did that, but we need to surplus it. I've also got the 2010 Explorer that needs to be surplus, or 2012 Explorer that needs to be surplused. And, you know, if we can get rid of those, I'm going to need I'd prefer another truck, and I will take mine and shift it into the fleet. It's already got the cage and lights, and it's got 25,000 miles on it. It's a 19. I got it. That was the one that I've been driving, but it needs to be put in the fleet for transport. But anyway, we were talking about getting another truck, and the sheriff, and we were talking, I was just conversing with him a while ago about the Chevrolet vehicle, and apparently there possibly some on a lot that we could get under the state contract, and I think he said 42, 43, off the top of the head is about what it would cost, and I would, if I could, it's not in my budget. I don't have a line item for it, so.
That's what Marty asked me if it's in the budget. I said, I don't remember one being there. I said,
No.
Nicole's out today.
Because after we turned the budget in is when we started talking about surplus and all these vehicles afterwards, and I didn't put one in. But if the court would
Well, let me ask
be
you,
inclined to agree to it, I'd like to get one.
could we find out or surplus those two vehicles? I mean, if you're not using them anyway, could
We're
we
not using
surplus those? Then would you have enough in commissary to pay the difference?
I can't
Okay.
for that. I don't
Well,
mind
what
it,
are
but
you-
yeah, to answer your questions, yes, can I? No, not
So
on
the
that.
two vehicles you have, you're not using.
Correct,
So we could surplus those and just see what kind of money we have from
Correct.
that point.
correct.
And at the very least, that money could be set aside for vehicle purchase.
I'm
At-
fine with
at
that.
whatever point.
It's just dead weight, and we're paying insurance
Well-
on them, and
It sounds like, Bobby, are you having vehicles that need to go to a surplus auction?
We have two.
But it sounds like we need to do again what we done just a few months ago, is if there's vehicles that need to be surplus, we need all the information, year, model, make, VIN number, all that, so we can get it advertised.
And we'll find out when the next sale is over there and
Yeah.
and possibly put them in there as long, like I say, as long as we advertise the location, then we can take them over there.
I'm pretty sure that truck, that's the perfect spot for that truck to go, because they will bid on that truck. It's not a bad-looking truck.
Why don't we do that? We get the information up here,
Okay.
and then we'll find out. I think maybe we might be able to come to find the difference between the surplus vehicles and a new vehicle. I think one of the concerns is, like, we've run into, heard it over and over again, it takes so long to order one. If there's one on the lot, and he can get it quicker on a state contract, then
Yeah.
that will make it quicker. But
Yeah.
I mean, the sheriff told me this morning he got all of his vehicles in that he had ordered, and so, but it took a while to get, those have been on order for a while.
And and the one that I'd be looking at, I don't care if it's Chevy, Dodge, Ford, it doesn't matter to me. I did drive the sheriff's truck, and it's a nice truck. It's surprising what that thing's got under the hood, but it's for what I need it for.
And I will reach out to the folks at Mills Auctions to find out when their next one is and what we would have to do if we wanted to put some surplus vehicles in, and what the cost would be. I'm sure it's like
Minimal.
probably.
Yeah, it'd be a small fee.
I was thinking the same. They probably take care of county government.
It might just be that they do it by a buyer's fee, or it could be a seller's fee,
Yeah.
percentage.
And I'm
whatever.
fine with whatever they bring. But I think if we put that truck on public auction, or however they, doing now, or sealed bid, it's not gonna bring anything. Over there, them farmers are gonna look at it, and it's a V10 truck. So
Okay.
they'll bid on it.
All right.
So do we need to have a list, that list compiled to have it officially approved for surplus?
Yes, we'll need, for any department head, elected official, if you got a vehicle or anything that needs to be surplus, we need year, make, model, VIN number up here, so we can put a list together, so we actually have a list to advertise.
We need that by,
Next week.
huh? But we need it by our first meeting in September, so we can have a list of surplus. And then by that time, you should have the information on the
Yeah,
auction.
yeah, I'll get a hold of the folks at Mills today.
Right.
That's-
Only other thing, and you touched on it in the open prayer, but with the schools opening tomorrow, and watch for the school buses and watch for, children, especially in the afternoons, walking from middle school, high school down this way, and just everybody be very careful.
Yeah, because those big red flashing lights and that sign, they go whoop out like that, says stop, they mean stop.
Exactly. So that's all I got.
Counselor?
Yes, as requested, Pam got me a copy of the contract very promptly, and I've had a chance to look over it some. Section 3.1 talks about collection for residential, and I've highlighted franchisee shall collect weekly from each residential unit within the franchise area all solid waste deposited by the resident in 96-gallon carts at the curb, provided that shall not collect anything other than it's at the curb, unless they're elderly, disabled, or having their solid waste picked up by a previous franchisee at the other alternate location. So, I mean, it says that they're supposed to collect weekly. Same thing for apartments and duplexes and such. I mean, there's also a provision, if it's like a holiday, it may go back, be delayed a day or so, but it says that that's what they're supposed to do. And you get over here to section 12, where it talks about remedies. The first section, 12.1, deals with breach, defining it, and it's like a failure. First, there's like one of 7. Failure to perform, observe any term, provision, or requirement of this agreement. Then it talks about failure following state and federal regulations. But that's the one we're looking at, is failure to perform, observe any provision or requirement of this contract. Then the next thing, which is customary in these type of contracts, 12.2, is a cure. In the event of a breach, the non-breaching party, that's us, shall give the breaching party, them, notice of the breach and a reasonable opportunity to cure, fix the problem, which shall be no less than 30 days. So basically what it means is you need to get all your various problems or breaches or whatever that you've got here. I heard, and I don't know where exactly there have not been issues about going weeks at a time without pickup, but you need to specify what specific breaches of the contract you're talking about. Then you've got to give them notice saying, hey, franchisee, you've got, your contract says you're supposed to pick up weekly. We've got this, and this issue here where you did not do so. We're, asserting our rights under the contracts, under remedies, under Section 12. We're giving you notice, we're giving notice to cure the problem within 30 days as provided by the contract. So it's not, and that's customary. You first got to give somebody a chance. They probably know they've not been picking up waste, but on the off chance they don't, you got to give somebody notice that they're screwing something up and give them a chance to fix the problem. And then if they don't fix it within 30 days, there's all kinds of remedies here. You can terminate the agreement, close any convenience centers, transfer stations, right to bring legal proceedings, all kinds of stuff, and the remedies are cumulative. It doesn't mean, what it means is you don't have to settle on one. If more than one of these remedies are applicable, you can assert all of, any or all of them. But that's basically it. You're going to have to, they're obligated to make pickups. That was my understanding, was the breach you were talking about. They're obligated to do a weekly pickup. Unless there's some kind of force majeure or disaster or something that keeps them from doing it, they can't, even if they're late because of a holiday, say Labor Day comes and the people are supposed to pick up, that's a day, it's like a ripple effect. All the rest of the week, everybody's pickup is a day late. That's not my understanding what you're talking about. We're talking about they just don't pick up for a week at a time. That's a clear violation of the condition that at least I read of the contract. And then you got to, as I said, get all your ducks in a row about what breaches you're talking about. and then give them notice.
So would we need, Sam, would we need like specific addresses and locations?
Correct.
Okay, now I want to make sure that I'm understanding one other thing too. I think it may have been a couple of years ago now, but I know that I sent them a letter, and then not long after that, we asked you to draft a letter, and you sent a letter to them, and I think that was more over not having the convenience center open at the time stated in the contract.
Right.
And I think in the letter that you sent them, that if that wasn't fixed, we would have to pursue other alternatives. So basically, we kind of need to do the same thing here with the pickup.
Right. But I mean, we specifically laid out what exact breach we're talking about. In that case, ditto here.
Well, the question I have, from listening to you read that, if they miss a week and we inform them that they've missed a week, they have 30 days to correct that.
That's the way I take it.
Is what, and
Basically-
I don't think they've let any go 30 days. But
No, I'm just saying they have 30 days to fix a problem. And we got to notify them specifically. That's why I'm saying my suggestion is every issue within the last however long, addresses and dates that it's not been done, I send it to them and it's like, y'all got to fix this. But I mean, the contract clearly states you got to give them 30 days to fix the problem.
So here's another question I have. We're really a couple, but it's kind of all folded together. One would be, is the problem that the people are having, because, I mean, no one's contacted me. I know, Myron, you said that some folks have gotten a hold of you, and I guess Scott, maybe you, and Marty.
Yeah, I've had.
But, I mean, no one's called me and said, hey, what are y'all doing, Scott Waste? I mean, so no, I don't have addresses to give anybody because no one's called me with an address. But my question is, are the folks more irritated that their trash didn't get picked up for a couple of weeks, or are they more irritated because they're having to pay a fee to have it picked up every week? And because we're billed in the county, you're billed quarterly, okay? So basically, you're thinking you've got 12 pickups, could be 13, depending on
How the calendar falls.
Right, how the calendar falls. But let's say in your quarter, they've missed 2 weeks. Is there any way to negotiate into the current contract that, hey, if we're not getting picked up weekly, we need some reduction in cost? So my question is, with the people that are contacting y'all, are they more upset that their trash didn't get picked up, or are they more upset that they're having to pay for weekly pickup and not getting weekly pickup?
They're really upset that their trash didn't get picked up, and then it doubles when they say, I'm having to pay for a service that is not being provided.
They just went up.
I reached out
The
to
fee.
Trey,
You reached out to who?
to Trey Holman day before yesterday. And he's not aware of any of these problems. He relies on his driver. Now, I'll agree with Marty. Most of the people that's contacted me, they're upset because their trash hadn't been picked up. But as the conversation goes further, they're saying, well, I was charged for something I didn't receive. So it's kind of funny, there at Thurman Electric, our dumpster didn't get picked up last week, on Wednesdays. So I called Friday morning, Scott Waste, and the lady said, well, Mr. Thurman, our driver said they picked your trash up at 10:45 Wednesday morning. I said, well, they didn't, so we'll get somebody right out. Well, they was out yesterday. So I asked Trey, I said, what are you guys going to do? How can you remedy this problem? He said, well, first of all, I didn't realize we had a problem. I said, well, I'm sure your drivers are not going to call with you and tell you they're not picking this trash up. But I said, some people are wanting a refund. And then the conversation absolutely stopped at that point.
I'm shocked.
So he's wanting to get it taken care of. But Mason, he's actually getting his information from his drivers, and I guess the drivers report back to their dispatch, I guess. I'm not sure how that works, so. But on our end, they just want the trash picked up. Basically, that's what it's about.
Not a whole lot of folks are going to self-report unless there's like, they have a problem, like they had a flat tire or something and they're running way behind. But I mean, you're right, they're not going to self-report.
2 weeks ago, Dewars Mill Road didn't get their trash picked up for 2 weeks. Trash receptacles set out on the edge of the road for 2 weeks.
We need to get all of those addresses.
Okay.
Like that, because, I mean, I don't mind to draft a letter, but it may be better if the county attorney drafts a letter to send to them.
I just need details, and because, I just said, well, there's not picking up the trash every week. Well, when and where? And I mean, they're not going to say all over the county, because I can tell you, knock on wood, not the glass, but the wood, they're picking mine up. Now, maybe they figure.
I've had no issue.
I'm just saying, maybe it's because you're the county judge and I'm the county attorney, but I'm just saying, I don't think that's it.
They don't know who's trash, because my wife set all mine up. None of that stuff's in my
My
name.
point is,
I have no trash. It's all my wife's trash.
It's not countywide, it's the problem, is my point. So I need something besides, well, they're not picking, I need details to put into a letter. I'm happy to draft a letter. I just need specifics.
Yeah.
Are there documentation, I know you've emailed, I'm talking Pam, but I know you have emailed Scott Waste in the past. Have you had to do that lately? People have, okay,
It's been, I can't remember the last.
Okay.
And maybe they don't know our office.
But Myron, it's.
But honestly,
He
we've
may
not
not know.
had much trash
Trey
piles
might.
lately.
I don't think-
Well, we better knock
I
on
really
a bunch of wood after saying that.
Until you said that, we did.
I know he wants to get it corrected. I do know
Yeah,
that.
hit it with
I
a-
do think they want it corrected,
I do.
but I will agree, I mean, Marty's just mentioned this to me in passing as we talk about when it's time to renegotiate the contract. I definitely think there needs to be a financial aspect tied to the performance clause, because you can say to me, I'm gonna pick your trash up every week. Well, if I don't get it this week, I'll get your trash from last week and this week all picked up at the same time. Well, you're only picking it up once, and what if I don't have anywhere to store my next week's trash?
and it also, that's what, out where we live, you got dogs that can get into it, and, coyotes that come by and get.
Eric finds it on a regular
So it
basis.
just causes a mess.
You find the trash on a regular basis.
Every time I'm sitting thinking that somebody dropped a bunch out there on Cal Harris Road, you're talking about last night, I'm talking about a load. And they're in trash bags, they did it nice.
But, yeah, whether we can change any terms of the current contract, I don't know, but when we renegotiate, I think there needs to be some type
Totally agree.
of performance clause with monetary,
I'm sorry. Eric, if you look in there and you find like mail and stuff,
I was just thinking the same thing.
you do that, and I'm happy to have a deputy charge them with criminal littering.
I'm in the process of getting picked up.
Anyway, sorry about that.
I did that exact same thing on Calvert Road years ago. Somebody went through the road and just threw out bags of trash on both sides of the road from one to the other. And one of the bags was open and it had a address in it. And that's when when the sheriff's office was downstairs.
that has been a day ago.
She took care of that quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Well, my
The
point is,
dangerous thing today would be getting into somebody's trash is fentanyl and other things.
well, that's why I'm saying, usually every so often I get one of those in court where somebody dumps a bunch of stuff. Law enforcement gets involved, they figure it out, and I'm just saying, if they're dumping a load of trash, then they need to answer for it. But, I mean, in the contract, I've also, just addressing what you just said, Judge, is that any change during this contract period would have to be done by the agreement of both parties in writing. Based on Myron's conversation with Mr. Holman, I don't know how far that would get to modify the current contract.
But
It
definitely
automatic-
has to be a part of the new
I don't disagree. Now, it does say, it goes through, I think it's 2026.
I believe it's June 30th of 26.
Yes, and so but their contract provides for an automatic renewal of another 7-year term, but if you're not interested in that, you got to have, it's a 90-day notification, so y'all, we need to make sure we mark our calendars, sometime in April or May of 2020. Well,
You said we, but you look directly at Pam.
well, because she's smarter than I am and more on the ball than I am. That's why, I have Debbie at the office.
What year? June 30th or 26th?
We call it tickling. We put it on a calendar
Yeah, but we need.
for a certain
90
date,
days
so.
prior to give them notice that it's not going to automatically
It's like when we were doing the elevators with Bill, I remember him saying we had 3 different contracts that expired at 3 different times, had to mark the calendar accordingly to give notifications, we're not renewing. So we need, if you're serious about that, you need to, I'd say start in January. We're not going to want to renew this unless we change this, and this.
January 26th.
Yes.
Well, I think we just need to just submit it, put it out to bid, period, with the terms we want in the contract.
That's fine. That's good too, but I'm just saying, you need to make sure you give more than 90 days notice.
We just need to notify them that we're not going to let it automatically renew.
Yes, but I mean, but if you wait till day 88 or day 86, then you're kind of stuck.
Do we need to have them at the joint meeting? Trey? I mean, I'm sure the city's having a problem too, so.
Well, I know they are, because I see no one's contacted me. I did have contact by one city resident, and I told him to contact the mayor.
I'm sure he thanked you for that.
But I mean,
You don't have to do it 90 days, you could do it now. Could you not send them notice now? And say
Well,
you're
yeah,
not
you
gonna-
can now if you want. I'm just saying, I always tell people,
Sheriff looks like he's in class.
Judge, I was just gonna say on the garbage issue, not that I have anything to do with it, that hit Simpson County, whatever that site is, you see stuff on there a lot about people having garbage.
I don't,
Well,
because I don't get on it.
the problem from what I've seen on social media, and we all know social media can be very untrustworthy.
And if it's on the internet, it has to be true.
One, correct, people don't know to contact you guys to tell you they're having a problem. Two, they don't have Trey Holman's number, so he's not hearing from them. And three, they're getting poor response when they do call. They call and nobody answers, they call and call and call, and then they get frustrated when somebody finally does. They'll say, hey, y'all never delivered my cans, and then 5 weeks later, they still don't have it. And that's some of the stuff that I've read. I don't know if there's an overwhelming problem, but that's where I've seen it.
now I called them. I've called them myself for my personal.
Oh.
And they were I told them I couldn't do what they're asking and they need to pick it up. And they did, and I hadn't had any trouble with them since, but the lady there, I wouldn't recommend calling and cussing the lady out on the phone, but, and I didn't.
Nice.
But she was very nice, and took care of my problem,
Well,
so.
sounds like what the sheriff's saying, first thing that needs to happen is we start putting on Facebook and everywhere else, if you're having issues with trash pickup, this is who you need to contact and this is the contact information.
You put that on your Facebook page and have them contact you.
I was just gonna ask.
I was talking about the county's
do we
page.
Mason Barnes, his cell phone number.
Do we need to
call
put Mason's
anytime.
home address with the phone number on there?
Put Scott Waste's number on there.
Here's Mason Barnes' cell phone number, call anytime.
But we need some kind of document. We
And if I
really
put it on
need
my
to know it.
Facebook, it won't do any good because I look at my Facebook about once a month, so,
We really, if we're wanting to turn in documentation, we really need to know here at the county instead of them calling up there.
Yeah.
That way we've got documentation what addresses.
We'll figure out how to get all that info, but if y'all have specifics, get them, email them to either me and/or Sam.
but I'm just saying, if we're doing a letter to cure stuff, I need specifics.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else, Counselor?
I hope not.
Okay. Sheriff?
Same thing Marty said, school kicks off, everybody allow extra time in the morning, and they will travel, so be safe.
Clerk, you have anything? Jailer, anything else?
They're on their way to pick that trash up, by the way. I told them to take pictures and get me the information, so it's happening right now. I just want to be brief and see if we can get past a little, I think, miscommunication. All I want is the court to vote on my budget that I turned in for a payroll so I can move on and my employees quit stressing. And I'll stay within my budget that I turned in. And that's all I'm asking.
Well, I'm confused on what you're asking for because the court went through the whole budgeting process where we agreed to the part-time rate and all the full-time got a 6.5% raise. Quite honestly, Eric, people are coming in to pick up their last check because they've quit. Not one person yet has told me they quit because of pay.
I'm not saying that.
So I'm not really clear on what you're asking for because everybody's current pay
What I budgeted.
is exactly what the court voted for every county employee. And if we're going to boost one department's pay above the 6.5%, we're going to have to do it across the board for every department. So I'm confused on what you're really asking for. Because
When I budgeted, I sent over the payroll. I sent over what we were going to pay. And it was voted on by the court. You didn't approve my budget?
Now,
we incorporate parts of your budget into the total budget, but personnel employee pay was all at 6.5%. Cost of living adjustment based on your current pay rate. That's what the court voted to do. And that's what's incorporated into the budget that we're currently operating under.
so Eric, in your line item, your full-time personnel,
Yes, sir.
the court voted on $1,584,000 and some change. That's what the court voted on. And my opinion is, you stay in that parameter, I don't have a problem. But if you come to court and ask for a budget amendment, then there's
discussion.
there's where the problem's going to be.
Yes, sir.
And two payrolls in, of course, Nicole's not here today, but two payrolls, well, I think we've had our third one since, but with two payrolls in, the personnel pay at the jail was nearly 3% over where it should be tracking after two payrolls.
Well, right now, we're at
There's a
8 point-
reason for that.
Well, right
I
now,
understand. You're right. There's a reason for that. We're front-loaded because July 1, that's when we do all our training for every staff member. So there's overtime, all that. That is correct. We do that every year. That will pull itself back into range.
Well,
The court tell me yes or no. That's all I'm asking. I've never had to do this, but just tell me, and I'm not here to argue. I've either got to go
I
tell
don't want to
them.
argue, but I feel like
get
that
it.
we have adjusted pay exactly what this court voted to adjust pay for every employee in the county.
they got a 6.5% raise. Now, we did not have an employee resolution on every person that worked in that jail. We didn't. Now, we did on the part-time and, pardon me if I call your name, but Brent side, whatever your position is. Now, has all these positions been filled at the jail?
We're right now fully, minus 2 fully staffed with the exception of 2. And we've got some part-timers that have stepped up and come in, which is helping offset the problems that we thought were coming.
Is there a captain that hadn't been hired? I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is if you guys hire another captain,
I'm gonna try to do it with, I'm gonna try to do it without it, so
If
we
you
stay
do, though-
way under our budget.
if you do, these numbers are going to go off the chart.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm really not trying to be difficult. And I know that chances are better than 50% that if you don't get what you think you should get today.
It's my employees.
The conversation's gonna be back over there, well, the judge don't give 2 shits about y'all.
I guarantee they're all watching.
Yeah, okay. That's not the point. The point is we voted to give a 6.5% raise to every county employee. If we go bolstering that, I mean, there are position changes. If you go from just a floor deputy to a captain, I understand. There's going to be a pay adjustment. If you do whatever, like different departments have things that if you accomplish this or you perform to this level, you get a merit raise. I get all of that. But my point being, if we go adjusting every salary at the jail above the 6.5%, we're going to have to do it at every department.
I mean, this is just what I budgeted for, and, I mean, y'all voted for my budget, and
I'm confused.
I think-
That's what confuses me.
I think it's
because-
up to me
because-
as the constitutional officer, and I don't mean this
Yeah.
in a bad way, but I'm the one I'm supposed to stay within my budget, and I'm the one that sets my pays.
Well, the
And-
stay within the budget thing is rarely done. It hasn't happened yet.
What number did you turn in?
I don't know, y'all raised it over mine. There's no reason for me to even turn a budget in the way I feel, because we don't ever use it.
Well, according to the Department for Local Government handbook, you're supposed to come up to the courthouse and sit down with me and the county treasurer and work out your budget. You never do. You send us up something.
Mason, that's a dadgum lie.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Here we go.
No, it's not. You send up a paper, and then we have to look over it, and then Nicole has to fix it.
To vote, please, or somebody.
This number right here that we're looking at, is that your number?
Excuse me? I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm looking at the line item that was approved on this budget.
Yes, sir.
Full-time jail personnel,
Yes, sir.
$1,584,539. Is that your number?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the number right there, right, Mason? That's the number fiscal court approved.
And that number was based on every current employee's salary plus 6.5%.
6.5% increase.
Yes.
Yes,
That
it
is
is.
exactly what we voted to do. Then y'all misinterpreted and misunderstood the entire budget
We
process.
sent over exact pay raises for every person on that piece of paper. The only people that got more than 6.5% were the people on the very bottom end, where we were getting them up, so we could compete with other surrounding areas. We actually budgeted at 1757. We're gonna do it at 17.
'Cause
And then once they have their training, go to 1757. All that money is already built into that budget. The only people affected more than 6.5% were people on the very bottom end, where we were having trouble getting.
Well,
And that discussion-
unfortunately, the county treasurer is not here at this meeting today because I do not think that is exactly correct.
The discussion also
But she will know.
involved, if you remember, I told y'all that Warren County was going to 1805, and the sheriff was talking about competing with city and surrounding agencies, and that's when I started talking about Warren County at 1804 or 5, whatever it was. Well, not only did they get that in August, like I told you that was happening, because me and the jail are pretty tight, they got another $1 an hour raise, so they're at 1905. You got Robertson at 22, you've got Sumner at 20, you've got Logan County at 1650. We're just trying to compete. That's it. This is not a I'm not trying to have a full-blown discussion. I just, what I budgeted for, I just want the court to approve and let me go about my
You're referring
business.
to like new hirees, is that what you're saying?
Sir?
You're referring to a new hirees?
Yes, sir. We're behind the 8 ball. We are. And the money's there. I'm not asking for any more money.
I don't know that it is there. That's the whole point. I don't know.
We're skewed right
that
now
it is
because
there.
I have pushed all my training right up front. All of it is right up front in the very first 2 weeks. So it's going to be off. But it's going to balance itself out.
It's been that way for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
You're,
It's right up front, but I haven't had any carryover either.
I'm not talking about where up front. By the end of within about 2 months from the end of the budget year, we're obligated to put money into your payroll because you've run over budget. And that's what will happen if we go out of this budget. When you get about 10 months into this, we're going to have to start transferring money in.
And to be quite honest,
It's
I'm
the
not
money
willing-
that's
to
been
be- To
allocated.
be very honest, I'm not willing to entertain any motion on any changes to the budget without some input from the county treasurer.
Oh, I wouldn't either. Without Nicole being here, there's no way I would do that.
I mean, we've been going through this for a hot minute. I mean, and I got people that I've told, yes, this is what we're going to be starting out at. And that's what, and they're like, well, what's this discussion that's going on at the court? I said, we've had a miscommunication. It'll be all right. And that's just, I budget. I'm not asking for any more money. And
So it's very similar to the other offices we have here where you've got maximum amounts of money you can spend on employees. Now, according to what we got right here, this is,
Those.
you're at 8.38% is what you spent. That's what, I don't know if this is actually current today.
But Myron, just so that you do fully understand, when we set those maximum salaries for the clerk and the sheriff, it's because they're fee offices.
People offices, that's correct.
And they manage all of that. It is our obligation to manage the salaries on every other department.
I understand that
So we don't
completely.
actually set a maximum salary for the jail. It would be no different than the road department. We budget what we believe it will be.
Yeah.
But, and we try to cover for holidays and vacation because those make personnel numbers run over. But just because that number's there doesn't mean we have to spend every penny of it.
Well, here, I mean, if I understand really what the question is, you can't hire people, I don't know where $15 an hour come in. I've heard that floating around since I've been on the court. I've never voted on your minimum start-out pay of anything down at that jail. But I do realize this, you can't hire anybody $15 an hour.
Well, there was just a lady that used to work at the Warren County Detention Center that come here and worked.
and she left.
And she left and went back, but she did not leave and go back because of pay.
Okay.
And what does in all the other departments, what do they start at, their starting pay on other departments?
Well, it depends
In the
on what
county.
position they go into and what their qualifications. I mean, I'm not picking on Bobby, but if you have a road department where the guy really doesn't know anything, he's gonna start at one number, and it's not gonna be as high as what jail staff is starting. But if they have CDLs and such when they start, they're gonna be up higher.
So the other day when we approved that one for him, it was 16 and a half, not knowing anything before he got his CDLs and everything, right? So that's pretty much the minimum for the road department, 16 and a half, correct?
No, not necessarily, because I think we got guys that probably aren't making that. Right about that, that's been there for a little while. And the bottom line is too, we're gonna have to get, as a court, where I've stated we need to be, and that is with job classifications and pay rates. so that we don't even have this discussion.
There's a lot of things that's crazy that's happened since COVID. We all know that. I mean, it's just, the market is just crazy.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but job classifications and pay rates should have been implemented way before COVID.
True, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
But it hasn't.
And I know we talked about that in budget, and you said you was gonna start on, have you done anything?
The what?
Since budget, you said you was gonna start on classifications and start doing.
Well, we've got all of it. I think the jailer put it together, the sheriff put it together, I put it together. Y'all have had that information. I think you got copies of all of it when we were going through the budget. So anyway, I hear you. I appreciate it. But I'm not inclined to entertain any motion without the county treasurer here to talk about what's really happening budget-wise.
Okay.
Chief, anything with the fire department?
Last meeting, if you guys will remember, I came and discussed purchasing a different fire truck, a used one. I asked for approval to bid on the truck through the gov deals. We were limited by the procurement policy. If you guys remember, Judge declared a disaster that allowed us to go beyond that $40,000 minimum. And I do appreciate that. We were able to purchase the truck for $42,000. And then there was a 12.5% buyer's premium, and I think that total was $47,250 is what we're going to be out for that truck. I was able to confirm this morning. I'd had a conversation with the judge earlier, about the tires. They are 12 years old, so I'm inclined to go ahead and just put new tires on it. So I'm working with the fire department out there to use who they use. So
you haven't even got the truck home you've done working on?
Well, here's the good thing, we were able to get into it cheap enough that.
Just to be clear, he said, we're going to go pick it up and drive it home. I said, well, Chief, would you check to see how old those tires are?
Yeah.
Because I would not want to put one of our guys in that truck with 10-year plus tires to drive it from Missouri back.
Here was my thinking on that. I don't know what it would have cost to have it hauled in, but I would rather take those monies and just invest them into the tires.
Well, that would look even worse if you bought a truck and had to haul it home.
Well, I guess that is true. But, so that was my thinking on it, but I am gonna, but again, we were able to get into it cheap enough and I feel comfortable. We knew we were gonna have to spend a little money on it, as far as, I'm gonna have to buy a small amount of equipment while we're kind of waiting for things to settle on the other end. But, I feel good about where we're at on it. So.
Well, any of the equipment, are you released to go in?
That's somewhat.
But will that equipment off it work on this one?
Some will, yes, but we don't know. We're hopefully this week we'll be able to go and retrieve some of the stuff. But again, I can't really say until we actually get there and lay eyes on it, what we're going to be able to use, because what we're not, then, we'll be able to file under the claim. But all that's kind of still in the works.
What model truck was that, Leslie?
I'm sorry?
The truck you bought, what model was it?
Model?
Yeah.
So it was a 2000 Freightliner FL80 Pierce. We have a 98 model Pierce that's a FL80 frame, and it's been a good truck for us. Mileage? I want to say it was 42,000, something like that. But
So it's very similar, like the truck we lost.
no, I wouldn't go that far. The one we lost was a newer, but it is similar in its capabilities. It's not as efficient. There's less things automated on it than the newer truck had more automation things on it. But I think it's going to be fine serving in its secondary role. Hopefully we won't have to roll this truck out on first out. But again, we're reevaluating our response strategy, especially with the high-traffic areas. So, it may very well be where we're using it as a first-out truck.
And we haven't had any kind of settlement with insurance on our current truck yet either.
We've not done anything on that.
Most of this expenditure will be, probably all of it will be reimbursed with insurance coverage.
Well, yeah, as far as that truck goes,
as far as recouping
that's a separate conversation
Yeah,
for
right.
this particular
Yeah.
truck. Yeah, we're gonna use as much stuff as I can possibly, get off of it. I am gonna have to buy a few little things that I do know of up front, but they're menial, for that cost, just to get us back operational, so.
The equipment on the truck that, you may have already answered, the equipment on the truck that was burnt, is it insured separately from the truck?
It is, and that's what I said. I can't really give you a report on anything today until we actually are able to go and lay our hands on it and all. So, all that's still kind of to be determined.
When do you think you will have a truck back?
That truck, the one we're going to get, I don't know, being this is Tuesday, maybe by the weekend.
Okay.
I don't know. Again, some of the logistics of if we have to order tires and those kinds of things, so.
Well, I would say you'd want to get it back as quick as possible.
Yeah, we
Just in case
definitely
you
want to
work
get it here. We were delayed a little bit last week because they had a firefighter death. So, they just asked if we could wait till next week. And I was like, absolutely, you guys take care of what you need to take care of. So, we're a few days later than I would like to be, but.
Well, I will feel much better with one of our guys driving it back with new tires than 12-year-old tires.
Yeah, I would too.
A little known fact that people don't really realize, but you can have a tire that looks like it has absolutely no tread wear. When it gets to be 10-plus years old,
Yeah.
that compound and that rubber starts to deteriorate.
Well, that's a good point, and the NFPA and the DOT both have set standards on it, and I think it's 8 and 9 years, I believe, or whatever that number was, but this is exceeded, so either way, I would be putting new tires on it, but I just feel more comfortable doing it out there before we actually try to drive it here.
Very good.
All right, thank you, guys.
Do you need any kind of, you got money in line item to do that?
Yeah, it'll be coming out of the fleet stuff, so, whatever. Now, where we will be coming back to revisit a conversation I'm not prepared to have today is looking at replacing this truck with a new one. So I told you, I'm working already trying to get a general quote. I can tell you that the price of everything is just astronomical. And if you guys remember, I put together that 30-year plan that we approved last July. So, honestly, we could probably throw that thing out the window. It's just really, the market's changed that much, and it's just people across the board are really having to reconsider, what they're going to do. They're keeping the apparatus a lot longer, and again, it's making these used apparatus a whole lot harder to find, so.
Do we need to discuss that at the joint city-county meeting about the new truck? I know we're buying them, and then billing them, they're paying half of it, but just so they'll be updated.
You usually attend some commission meetings and update them on fleet and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, upon request I do, but I'm happy to come to that if we want to have that conversation. I'll be there anyway, but, if we want to have that conversation as well. What I don't know is, will I have any firm numbers? Again, that's the problem. Because here's the thing, even the numbers that we're getting back from where I'm speccing it out, they're putting in clauses on it that it's probably going to change because the year models keep getting pushed out so far. So, they're already, they're completely sold out of 2024s. They're already doing the 25s, and by the time, you get it, they're quoting 25 prices, but, some of these trucks are 3 years out, so they won't even give you a hard number. They're giving you in the contract that, hey, it's probably going to change by this much. So just be prepared to pay that amount. So, it's really a moving target. Yep.
All right, Chief, thank you. Bill, anything with maintenance? Bob, anything else? Ian, Bobby, anything road department? Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion by Marty, second by Jeffrey. All in favor, aye? Aye.